Good morning. This is the 47th video in a series which I'm calling State of the School, SoS. The school is Frank's school, and I'm mostly limiting myself so far to what's going on here at the Camp Range campus. All right, water wheels, windmills and water wheels has been my overarching subject, and I'm coming close to the end of the water wheels. I want to go back up to the tower, water tower. And yesterday I described what I could do with a penstock, contained water that depends upon pressure in a nozzle. Well, from the same water tower, I can start an aqueduct. Now this wouldn't be on a dead level. This would have a bit of a slope. I might do better to call it a sluice or a head race for a water wheel. And I'll start it at ground level there. And then bring it down to the upper of the two old barns. I'll run that. I'm talking about something about this wide, maybe, two boards. I'll run it along the side of the barn. Now this would be at the second story of the barn by now, about waist height on the second story of the barn. I'll run it along the western side of the barn. And I'll have to make sure it doesn't leak because it would it could damage. It will supply water to that barn, under gravity flow, not pressured, and then I'll leave that barn and go out over several buildings, over a fence, over a past. It's hard to explain that, but this sawmill building, I'll call it, which I've got to jack back up. Where there's going to be a windmill. It'll go right by a windmill. And then this head race, this sluice, will go over a place to drive that I drive my truck through. It'll be plenty high enough to do that. It will then be supported by the top of Joyce Hut. That's one of the folk huts. I have planned to build 5 right down there where that big water wheel is going to be. Joyce Hut for the Catholic 5. There's Joyce, there's Pat, there's Ed, there's Wayne, there's Mercedes, and there's me, but I'm leaving me out, this Catholic 6. But and Joyce Hut is the first one I'm going to build there, and I'm even going to take the material away from the other 4. That I have the pallets there and I have the platforms built. I'm going to dismantle all that and put it up in storage in the field because it's going to be a year or 2 before, I'm afraid, before I can get to building them. And what's more important to me is to build the water wheel. And that water wheel coming over the top of Joyce Hut, the sluice, it will be about 24 feet high. It'll be a pitchback wheel. It won't be an overshot. It'll be a pitchback wheel. And one of the reasons for that is because it will be joined by water coming from the tail race of that rapid turning wheel that I just described in the last video. The tail race will I'll immediately divert it. Well, it'll go into a canal. I call it the confluential, or from the confluential dam and the transponding canal, it'll join that and come over, and it'll add about another 4 foot that it can push that real big water wheel because it's a pitchback, and so I can deliver water from a second source, a lower source, and that would function like a very low breast wheel. So there'll be 2, and that will be the highest that I plan on the whole property. What will I do with that power? I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. But it'll absolutely be showy, and that's fine. I want people to see water power and see what water can do. All right, there's a little bit more. Maybe I'll tell you right now. After it clears that big water wheel, the other 4 folk huts are like if this cat were the water wheel. Here's 2 of them. Here's 2 of them, and back here is Joyce Hut, and it's higher. it would go over that, and it would be sandwiched in between these four. Well, after it comes from the head race, it then joins the Grand Canal, which I've talked about before, and would go over, all the way over back to that mill building where I have that, the wheel I talked about there. Do I have a name for it even? I don't know. It's the biggest flow of water, where the water from Oppenheimer Run, the East Creek, the West Creek, it'll all join there. It'll go there, go over that, it'll go down, and then it'll come back under the lane or across the lane, and it'll have one more chance to drop right at a bridge, which I call, I'm going to talk about bridges later, I call Gary Bridge. And there is one other spot. If instead of running it that direction at the tail race, if I ran it to the right, I could drop it back into the East Creek, and I'll have a little bit of a waterfall there. Hey, that completes it. I can say I've described all the sites that I have in mind for Waterwheels. Bye for now.